to help entrepreneurs raise finance. And you very quickly realize everybody wants finance, nobody qualifies for it. And reality in South Africa is not there's not a hell of a lot of funding for entrepreneurs, but the best form of funding actually comes from your clients. And so that's why we kind of drive this concept of access to market. How do you go and help entrepreneurs find clients, grow their business, and develop from that side? We work with a variety of different brands, so to give you a sense of who we are working with at the moment. Just give you a sense, so we've got done everything from healthcare through to professional consulting businesses, local and international, ABSA, corporate investment banking, attorney firms. We helped our insurance to launch the asset management business. So we've seen a little bit across a variety of different industries. Stopping there for a moment. Any questions? Thoughts, comments?
Why?
Perfect.
You said those they are not stupid questions, but there's no reason to ask what stupid questions.
Sure. Yeah, so I mean, I really do want you guys to ask questions. Please, by all means, interact with us. I think that, we go back and I think about our relationship with the guys from SME.TAX. Started over a beer in a restaurant once, and 3 years later we worked together on a regular basis. And it was really about finding out what works for different people's businesses, where are the pain points, what are the opportunities that we're able to work with. And I think these things take time. So the relationships, the people next to you, the people in front of you, behind you, etc., are just as valuable as whatever you're going to learn from a presentation today. So my big kind of pain point or thing that I kind of talk around is social media is not marketing. And people always think, or they disagree with me on some things, but my kind of concept is a lot of entrepreneurs spend so much time trying to go and do social media. They try and be clever on their Facebook posts, etc., etc. And I want to stop for one moment. How many of you have ever got business out of social media? Any social media posts you've done?
I love social media.
So that's one. Anyone else? What kind of business are you in? Are you doing? Training. Okay. And what platform did you get it with? Okay, so Facebook. So this is one of the things I find interesting. People spend all the time trying to come up with clever TikTok videos, with clever Twitter things, Facebook, LinkedIn, etc. And what you actually find a lot of people hide behind there the time that goes into their social media. It always astounds me when I look at businesses and the amount of time they spend trying to come up with posts, trying to come up with reels, trying to come up with clever tweets. Can I get likes? Can I get all these things? And the reality is, in an internet minute, and Jess has got the full thing in her presentation, in a single internet minute, there's 65,000 Instagram posts and 165 million TikTok videos produced every internet minute. Tell me how you're going to go and compete in that space. Important thing that everybody is not your client. So I think that often when we start looking around, and it's one of the first things we do, so some of you guys are on the Adopt an SME program, and one of the things we try and get you guys to do is actually to define who your client is, who actually makes the buying decision for it. Because it's probably not going to be sitting there on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. It's not everybody that's out there. Marketing has a very specific purpose to it. Your business needs sales, not likes, and your business is not about entertaining people unless you are a comedian. And I think this is one of the things that we find people have spent a lot more time doing, is actually finding out and defining who their client is and working with them rather than the time that they mess around on social media. And it's hard. Going out and talking to people is hard work. How do you go and interact with clients? How do you go out there, interacting with clients, making sales, etc., etc.? It's hard work when you're actually talking to people and trying to be able to convert them into actually paid clients.
I think with SME.TAX, it's a villain of an unfair comparison due to the fact that for them it's what it is. In social media, the ballpark is what it looks like. And what it looks like is not what it is. SME.TAX, they know, they in the business where they know they can deliver. They can go to Facebook and get clients because of the work that they've done behind the scenes, of the work that they've done off Facebook. So for me to go to Facebook, I'm going to get likes, but I'm not going to get the business because the work behind the scenes I haven't done. So that's what I'm saying. It's a bit of an unfair comparison because for them, it's the work that speaks volume rather than the posts that they do. They just get themselves out there, but they've done the work.
Yeah, so if you look at their social posts, there are a couple of things that do. One, they'll post about today. So what do they post about? The fact that they are positioned as experts in their field, so that gives them credibility.
Yes.
And the fact that they are, if you look at their post yesterday, they posted on Queer, for instance, it means that they're informed about a particular space in the industry. You don't see time doing flip-flops in the shower to try and get Instagram likes. They haven't done it, yeah, I was just checking. That is the thing, and this is the thing that you find that a lot of entrepreneurs spend so much time trying to entertain each other and trying to say, this is how I'm going to get noticed. And you can get likes, you can get deals, you can do all these things, but it's not translating to a client. And unless you define who your client is and how you're going to reach them, social is just a lot of noise that people spend too much time on, and they don't spend enough time actually engaging face to face. And I think that's one of the challenges that you see with a lot of these entrepreneurs. Content is expensive to produce, time is expensive, and they're not converting that into real business. Time, if I can ask you, like, who's your perfect client? What does this client look like? Who makes the decisions?
So there's a separation. What you have is with the smaller clients, with an individual owner, with the client, then makes the call. Corporate clients, when you get to experts, it takes a lot longer. So you understand the key times of the smaller clients make decisions done. So we target smaller clients, certain on cost structure, hence target larger clients. Basically.
Yourself, what's your perfect client? They want to do?
They want to transform from using the fluorescent light to digital. Anybody who wants to do this.
Okay, but who makes that decision inside the organization?
I say, I'm not picking up what he said,
Yep.
but I would say it's more or less what he said, because we are really targeting big lines who work with different here, but we also be targeting smaller clients to get their business in the front.
What's a big client? What's a small client?
I'll say for me, big line would be the ticket table. So they have their own processes that needs to be followed before they can pay the stuff. But the small client would be your property developer, an entrepreneur who owns his own company, say, well, this is a good product, you can put it in. And I'll say, on top of that would be government. But another thing, government, it's a nightmare altogether to get them to use this product, but they are within the fold. So you see the decisions are not in the same sector.
Let's take the slide that we've got just now, but talk about the concept of business development lead marketing. So a lot of marketing is very much around brand affirmation. Are you an expert in the field? You don't have the budget to be able to advertise to pick and pay government and the small entrepreneur that's in the area as well. It's too broad, it's too diverse. You need to be able to pick up a particular client, go after them, and then that's where you can start to use social media and targeting and ad serving and that kind of thing to go after specific clients. But the idea of advertising to everybody is your net result is you're not going to appeal to anybody. And I think this is one of the things that we speak a lot about. So if you look at these brand guides and the playbooks that these guys work on for each of the entrepreneurs, and in essence, is who makes the decisions for you, who ultimately pulls the plug and says, this is a person I want to work with, this is the size of organization I want to work with. Working with a corporate, for instance, doing some work with Exaro, if you have to see how many meetings you have to go through, you'll go broke just trying to wait to service a big corporate client. Whereas you'd have a client, a small business retainer on a month-to-month basis, and you can push through, you send out the invoice, and the money arrives in your account a couple of days later. For me, that's far more appealing than trying to deal with a Pick n Pay or an Exaro or whatever it is. And as small business, this is what, from a marketing perspective, you need to decide where you don't have a huge budget, so you've got to pick and choose who you're going after, and then go and say, that's my niche, that's what I want to go and target. Any other questions? So kind of purpose of marketing that's out there, very simplistically, establish credibility and trust in your offering. Answer the question, what problem are you actually solving? I think often we want to be experts at everything. The reality is we actually only need to solve a niche to be able to be successful. And the more broad you're offering, the harder it is to go, and ultimately you spend more money servicing the client rather than solving this particular problem. Are you an expert delivering or are you delivering competencies in the field? So if you look here, it's on the SME.TAX branding, company registrations, tax, accounting, payroll. So we've actually talked about payroll earlier. And it takes I have a pain that I need my payroll managed. They've got a solution. They can advertise to me that day so they can market that particular solution because this is what they do on a daily basis. If they just sit out in bookkeeping, what does that mean? It doesn't say that it can actually solve my problem. And I think this one thing about marketing is you have to zero in what is that niche, what are your competencies, and what am I actually solving? And when a client actually celebrated and share how you solve the problem. Most small businesses, if you look at it, the biggest challenge is winning their first client. Nobody actually believes that you can do the work. And so you end up in a thing, love your idea, want to fund you, want to support you, et cetera, et cetera. And then you say, well, can you write the check? Can you write the score, et cetera? And they say, yeah, but has anybody else worked with you? And this is one of the biggest challenges. You'll see if you go and look at the businesses that go under, almost all of them have got the problem they can't win the first client. And so we always talk about this thing of, do you celebrate and share how you solve the problem? So is it a case study? Is there something that you think you can, that somebody else can remind us? If you solve it with Pick and Pay, are you able to solve it for ShopRite? So that gives you that credibility. In effect, if you look at this program itself, this program, the first year of participation, we actually ran it for free. The adopted SME thing. We built that for free simply to deliver credibility. So that was our marketing cost, was to be able to get out there and run the program at no cost to be able to say, we can do it, here's proof of execution, please do trust us in the next year of application. And in fact, that's often the cheapest way of marketing you can get out there is that you try to do some work for you for free and then go build out on it. So any questions on that? Any other questions? Yeah?
Say your product is something that isn't costing you time, it's actually costing you money to build. Like you're selling pancakes or something, or donuts. So it costs you money, you're not exactly it's going to cost you money to get stuff away for free.
Giving the cost you money, and so the next slide basically says, the cost of acquiring a client. No, I think it is an important question is how do you actually get into the market is to say, what is a client actually costing me to service? If I'm making a pancake, it's fine if I use ingredients. And you may make the best pancake around, but if you can't make it and actually show people, then does it actually ever happen? And this is why people always say, well, the accounting side is the boring side of things. The reality is that if you can actually work out your cost of service in the client, you don't know how much money you're actually able to throw towards your marketing activities and the cost of acquiring a client. And in kind of high volume businesses, it could be 8 rand because you aggregate across thousands of little orders. But people don't actually look at the actual numbers that are out there. That's why we love this relationship because we're forced to actually interrogate this. How much does it cost you to acquire a client? People say, well, our markets, I don't need a salesperson. Any of you guys got a dedicated, in your business, anyone got a dedicated salesperson? That's not you. Why would you not invest in a salesperson?
The money to pay the salesperson.
So this is the real thing. But people say, okay, cool, well, I'll spend all my money making TikTok adverts, and I will put some paid spend behind it. But I won't pay for a salesperson to go out and actually have the relationships, the networks, the offering that's out there. So people say, well, cool, marketing is it's a lower risk cost. But the cost of acquiring the client is very significant. It's not, and when you start out a small business, it's higher than most other organizations because there is no trust. There is no proof of execution, no evidence of success to go with it. But if your argument is, well, I'm not going to pay a salesperson because it's expensive, well, how expensive is it relative to what your marketing spend is going to be out there? And look, your marketing can take various forms. It doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be a full-time salesperson. It could be a channel partner. It could be a franchise model. In fact, if you look at NetFlorist actually spends very little on all their digital advertising. They've got a model called affiliate networking, and basically what happens there, somebody clicks on the link, tracking link will go and see for every order that gets through that's run through a particular website, they take a commission on it. That website host takes a commission on it. So affiliate networking goes up there. A lot of the insurance companies do it. They're not going to pay for marketing because it's just not worth the while, but they will be able to say,
they'll, but they'll save 10,000 rand of their time doing social media and stuff. So they can spend 10,000 hiring salespeople to get door to door and actually make it better.
yep. And that's why I think this relationship with your accountant and actually understanding your numbers becomes really important. And I know for me it's not sexy. Like I get very irritated now. I'm just saying, well, let's get up there, let's market, etc., etc. But if I don't know what's costing me, and the only reason I can actually do is to have a partnership with an accountant who can actually give me strategic advice from that perspective, that's where the actual margin of the money gets made. So, is there a question?
Okay, just one question. I think look, a lot of businesses will probably and some might not really find, but it's not an easy business with things trying to sell a product. If you just sell a startup, trying to get to the team that you can do. And a lot of people use social media to if people trying to find them, how do I actually get it done? I'm going to say this is how to do it. Yep. I'm going to use it. But I go to my website, I'm keeping up creating. So going back to the question, that is,
Yeah, so there you've got to prove you're educating somebody about how you solve a specific problem. And you can put in the old days we used to have a white paper that used to say, this is how I solve my technology solve problem XYZ for Pick and Pay. Now you can put together a short video to say, here's what I actually could do. Imagine you're the procurement manager for Pick and Pay, and here's how I've done it. So that collateral becomes like a walking, talking brochure. And if you can target that to the right person who's making the right decision about it, that can work. So I agree with that 100%. I think what we do see so often is arguments that SMEs don't have the sales resources to get out there, but they are prepared to spend all the time on their social media, and that the balance becomes an incredibly important part of it. Your partnerships are a big thing from a marketing perspective. So it's not about making a Facebook post, but it could be about having a relationship with your accountant who can then say, I can introduce you to XYZ, and that's a one-to-one human relationship as opposed to a social media relationship. When you see this graph that she's got in her presentation, so I agree with you, but the world is awash with content at the moment. And one of the really interesting things, so MoneyWeb is one of the biggest financial news sites in the country. It has, I think, 400,000 monthly visitors to the site. Premium content has to create probably 20 or 30 articles a day, read by the top news decision makers or decision makers in the country, and they effectively make money from ad impressions on their website. One of the interesting things that was out there, so they previously run a campaign with Deloitte. So Deloitte were funding part of their an ad campaign, which was a podcast and a little bit of digital media, etc. When I took over at MoneyWeb, I kind of said, I went to Deloitte and I said, well, you haven't renewed your ad sponsorship, what's happening? And I said, well, the thing for them is they don't actually need MoneyWeb for a distribution. Now, their target audience is so niche and so small, they can create their own podcast. They've got their own design team to make creative, so they can get out there. And what's quite interesting there was a shift because your client almost became your competitor in some regards. So I think the challenge is that everybody can create content. It's ubiquitous now. Barriers to entry incredibly small. And I think your biggest challenge there is how much time are you spending on marketing and can you actually make a return on it? And I think that where we run a accounting service, it is very commoditized. Everybody, I was follow, as you know, I know a guy, Facebook page, and somebody says, well, I need somebody to help me register my company. And the first person says, 250 rand. The next one is 232 rand. They call it. And so it's basically, and I've never seen anybody actually get any business out of either guy because everybody's just trying to undercut everybody else on it. So you just got to find, well, and just undercut the price at the value. And that's where, we see this relationship works really well because it's a partnership. We kind of feed off each other, the relationships, the networks, etc. So I agree with you, lots of content out there, but it's so much of it is just noise. It's not really going anywhere. And there's almost like a middleman or middle layer, which is just eating away a lot of the time and the margin involved there.
Mark, I think a lot of people miss that marketing is about getting your name out there. So what I say, the marketing is the name. Salesmen are sharp to actually go to it. So you bring yourself in those out and you say, hey, I'm from SME.TAX. I see your brand. I see. And that's where the close comes. You've got to link the two. And that's where we would actually go to the next step of the service.
Because the sales cycle is the best goal of customers to trust, and yes, there's the best goal. Yes, there's the best goal. Because the sales cycle actually promotes that you're going.
And that's exactly, so this is why you asked us what tools we think you can use from a marketing perspective. How many of you got a CRM system inside your business? Okay. CRM system, customer relationship management system. The kind of easiest example is HubSpot. HubSpot's a free tool. Basically what it does is it records organizations, what emails you sent to them, when you were last in contact, how did you get in contact with them. And this becomes such a simple thing because you start saying, well, I often forget about somebody who made an inquiry is say from the UK. And so on the plane, I didn't really kind of take any, kind of it just came through, ignored it. If I dropped that into the CRM system, it would prompt me the next day to go and set up a phone call. Here's a copy of our brochure, here's a profile or whatever it is, here's a copy of our, here's how you feel to do business with us. And I can go back and I can refer to it. So a good CRM system is kind of your core to marketing. Very cool thing if you're going to do search engine optimization is a tool called Uber Suggest. So Uber Suggest basically looks at what are the keywords people are using to find similar services out there. Like Neil Patel, if you're neilpatel.com, he basically helps you basically drive traffic towards your website. But the Uber Suggest, if you use Chrome, it's actually like a plugin. You can see what keywords are getting traffic to your competitors' websites. So you ask about accountancy, what people are typing in accounting in Rosebank or accounting in Richards Bay, accounting in Durban, etc. So you can actually see what is actually attracting people to your competitors' websites. It's a very cool thing. And then just Google Analytics, Google Search. So this is your own website. If you set it up, you can actually see what's attracting traffic to your own site, what keywords, what popularity. So very powerful, simple tools before you do any real marketing. This can help inform a little bit of your marketing strategy. I'm aware of time, so I'm going to hand over to Jess. But any questions before I hand over? Really? Cool. So Jess is going to tell you why I'm wrong now. So,
Cool. In my spare time, I do IT.
you got it.
I guess.
Understood.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Alright, good afternoon everyone. My name is Jessica Rousseau and I'm the content creator and designer for Dickie SEO. A little bit about me, this is actually my second time in Durban, so it's very similar out here. Winter. Alright, so today I'll be talking about social media tips, real life examples of SMEs where social media has worked, and should one budget on paid ad spending. We're living in a new technological era that has given us the opportunity to easily connect with millions of people. Now, why wouldn't you take advantage of that? This is the infographic Mark was just talking about. So I just want to start off with, by raise of hand, who has social media here? Any platform? Pretty much everyone, right? And am I correct in saying you spend at least 1 hour daily on social media? Probably more, right? I spend a good amount of time on social media. So these are basically all the social media platforms. I would say there's quite a bit there. And this is basically every minute of the day. And I don't know if you're having a squiz of that, but the numbers are quite high for each platform. Now we all have different interests, hobbies and passions that shape our feed in a way that we spend hours on social media. So there's a niche for everyone. So I don't see why social media is a way people appeal to 2 million users. So how can you market yourself using social media? Thank you for asking. I'm actually going to be talking about 4 top tips, being platforms, audience, identity, and goals. Number 1, platforms. Choosing a platform is imperative for success. Today I'll be speaking about Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. First up, Facebook. Jennifer Digital Marketing has said that Facebook has a massive user base of 1 billion daily and 2 billion monthly. Right. So if your target is on any platform, it is Facebook. Facebook is a conversational platform. So if a customer likes your page, it's most likely they want to keep up to date with your updates, any upcoming events or promotions or sales. How often should you post on Facebook? Facebook is not limited for businesses. People say that if you post too much, it may risk people unliking your page, or if you post too little, it may risk your engagement metrics. So at the end of the day, you know how much you want to promote, and you should post accordingly. Facebook also helps with insights. Does anyone know what insights are, or where you can find them? Yep, definitely. So insights is analytics of social. So it shows you the most popular time to post, your most engaged posts, and it also shows you if you are increasing in followers or if you're decreasing in followers. Any questions on Facebook? Next up is LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is the most used social media platform for business-to-business marketers. LinkedIn is a place for business professionals. Who here uses LinkedIn? All right. And would you say you found out about LinkedIn recently? No? Well, yeah, they've been around for quite a while, but I think only now people are actually seeing the value in LinkedIn and how far you can actually go and find, whether it's a job or clients and whatnot. So what does one post on LinkedIn? So according to WordStream, companies that post weekly see a 2 times rise in engagement. So when sharing on LinkedIn, you should reflect your helpfulness in content and let posts be a resource for your customers. When sharing on LinkedIn, according to LinkedIn Marketing Solutions, posts with an image have a 2 times higher rise in engagement than posts without. Has anyone seen that before? That if you post either a picture or video, you actually get more likes. Yeah? Anyone have any questions on LinkedIn?
Yeah,
Yeah.
how, then I hear you engagement, it's so great, but how do you then take the engagement and turn it to sales? Because at the end of the day, your main concern as a business is sales.
Yes.
I understand that there's a marriage between the two, the marketing and the behind the scenes sales, which I think is the backbone. If you don't get it right,
Yeah.
then the else just are pie in the sky. But how do you then take this engagement and transform it into cash?
Yes.
Sales?
So I actually speak about it later on. So on my point now is for audiences and then identity and whatnot. So further on you'll see how other tips I give you is how to make your business easy. Okay. Then lastly, Instagram. So Instagram actually has a wide variety of features. It's stories, it has shops, it has reels, it has Instagram TV, live. Okay, there's many ways of reaching out to people. Who has Instagram here? All right. Okay, so Instagram, unlike other platforms, have a sharing feature, all right, which allows viewers to share your post to gauge more in engagement. So that is actually a marketing tool in itself, correct? Right? So what should you post on Instagram? So what you post should encapsulate your brand. So whether it's a photo or a video. So stories is also a very good way to show your viewers the behind the scenes. So like we were speaking about, showing them how you're getting to this point. So not just seeing the final product, actually showing them the behind the scenes. Because it actually gets you to connect with your customers on a personal level and then actually being there in that journey. So lately, does anyone know what a reel is? Okay, so Instagram started Reels, I think, a year ago or two. And basically, it's either a short video or it can be a long video. So long videos are more than a minute or so turn into an Instagram TV, which you can watch later. But the Reels have lately been massive. So in this profile over here, as you can see, they have 256 followers. All right? If you look down at their Reels, they are engaging up to 4,000 views from one video. Okay, so that has become a very big way to either not just reach out to your followers, but to more people. So there's an algorithm also on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn that shapes your For You page and for your page on Facebook that generates. So if you like horses and you liking videos of horses, these kind of videos, even though they've got 200 followers, their reels will land up on your For You page. So this is a very big marketing tool currently. All right, so any questions on platforms? So I've only gone through three, because there's a lot more on that infographic that we did show. All right, so number 2 is audience. So who here knows who their target audience is? I think Mark did ask. Everyone should know who their target audience is and who they're trying to target, correct? All right, so when looking for your target audience, you should look for age, location, language, and trends and interests, just like with horses. That would be an interest. So it's important to know this as you would want to appeal to them. So it's very important to also know what platform your users are using, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn. And a way to also appeal to them is trends. So we all know ESCOM. And Nando's took advantage of these load settings and whatnot, that they've turned it into an advertisement. All right? So did Spotify. So here, this one, Spotify is basically saying that you're saying, it's okay, the breakup is neutral, that's what you're saying, but they know you better because you're listening to Sad Indie on Spotify. All right. So, number 3, identity. And this is probably the most important one out of all 4 of them. This is when you're building your identity, the core of it is to shape and influence how you want people to see your company. All right, so it's the kind of look and feel that you would want your company to be seen as. So if you see a big yellow M, you're going to think of McDonald's, right? Or if you see the finger licking good, AFC, okay? Those are the small things that if I see it instantly, I know exactly what I'm getting for dinner. Alright, so number one would standardize your color palette. Just like seeing those M's, these kind of colors would put you to either PayPal, MasterCard, or BP. So sticking to a palette is an important driving factor as it links you directly to your look and feel you're going for.
Identify which one, because I'm sure BP and MasterCard, they used to wake up and designing those colors. What's the process that you can use to end up with colors that actually don't look attractive to customers?
Okay, so what is your company's name? Or what?
It's Khalifa Project LED.
Okay, so LED. So I would look at, if you're working with LEDs, what are the common colors you would see in an LED? Or you would get numerous colors, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
So you would kind of use those kind of colors that would make people think. So like MasterCard, these three examples are pretty set stone colors, right? So if you want to do LED, you would either, so BP doesn't have much of a petrol sign or whatnot. So I would say that any color that would represent LEDs, or look, you can actually like put any color to your company, I would say. I think it's for you to create that, to set a standard for. Yes. You can make any color. Yeah.
Some other things, sorry, with the colors, I think you can also do a lot of research. There's a lot of psychological research behind colors. So, for example, like green or blue seem to be quite calming colors. So if your company is like a calming company, and you want to reach out to your audience and be more of a welcoming feel, you'd have that. If it's something like McDonald's that's, yellow and red, that's kind of, it's supposed to get attraction, but it's also supposed to convey, I think, something like strength or, there are psychological things to colors. So if you just do your research on the different psychological things behind colors, that can help shaping your brand identity and what you kind of want to do.
Yeah.
But also go back to
Yeah. There's many ways. I mean, you wouldn't think blue would take you to PayPal, but they created that identity for themselves and made it their own. Cool. So number two, determine your brand personality. Sorry, no. So you would stick to a color palette, then you would stick to a tone of text. All right? So if you're going to be witty and wordy one day, then the next day you're going to be quiet, people are going to be like, did you wake up from the wrong side of the bed? Are you okay? So I'm not saying that you should post the same kind of tone of text every day. More, stick to it. So if you're going to choose one color palette, stick to it. All right, same with your tone of text. So identifying the tone of text, you need to identify, are you trying to come off educational, uplifting, or just straight to the point, straightforward? So those are the things that you need to ask yourself, or how are you trying to come across in your tone of text? Then determine your brand personality. So are you trying to be playful, fun, serious, traditional, adventurous? This is important as it will have a significant impact on your brand strategy moving forward. So finding a brand strategy will enable you to provide consistent and authentic message across all of your businesses. Lastly, brand message and story. Behind every brand, there's always a story. Alright, so you would need to ask yourself, what motivated you to create your business? What have been the highlights of this journey to you to get building your business? And in what ways my products and services reflect my business's core values? Goals. So with goals, you would also have to ask yourself is what would you like your business to achieve? Do you want to drive traffic towards the website, selling products and services, increase brand awareness, or run awareness campaign? So having a successful brand identity enables you to be easily recognizable. So ultimately, it would benefit you. So if you create your own identity and you would want to grow your business, you would want like BP, PayPal, and all of that. You would want to become that business, right? Because as soon as you see anything to do with them, whether it's their colors or if they have a cartoon, like McDonald's had that clown, every time you saw the clown, didn't have any McDonald's on it, but you knew exactly it's McDonald's. So that is the kind of identity you would want to create for your business because you want them to remember you and make you, then you basically subconsciously making them think about you. Okay. All right. So lastly is goals. Without setting goals, it's difficult to know exactly what your social media strategy is and where you would need to iterate moving forward. So you would need to ask yourself, where would you like your business to achieve? Is it to drive traffic on your website, selling products and services, increase brand awareness, or run a awareness campaign? So that is one of the things you need to identify as. You can do all four, but it would obviously be difficult. But say having a set goal, you can get there. So have you all heard of the SMART goals? You know what SMART stands for? Okay, so SMART stands for specific. So is your goal specific? You need to identify, do you want to gain at least 200 followers? That's your goal. That should be something, there must be something specific. Is it measurable? Okay, is it a measurable goal? Is your goal achievable? Alright, so you can't have, I want 1 million followers by tomorrow. Okay, that isn't a measurable goal. Is it relevant? Is this goal relevant to your business? Will it help your business? And lastly, is it in a time bound? Okay, so you would need to identify how long are you going to give yourself to get to this goal that you're wanting. Okay. So just to recap on my social media tips. Number 1, identify your platform. Number 2, find your target audience and stick to them. Number 3, find your identity. Create your identity. All right. I love feeding off other companies and getting small things from them, not their whole social media look and feel, but feeding off it and trying to make that my own. All right, and obviously your goals. Okay. Anyone have questions on that? All right. So now I'm going to be speaking about 2 SMEs that where social media has helped them. So number 1 being macro mixers and number 2 enhanced tools. Has anyone heard of macro mixers? No. All right. Okay. So macro mixers was started by a young woman in Cape Town. She had a passion for food, cooking, and health. Okay. She appealed to her target audience by being a woman herself who values the aesthetic as well as health benefits. She managed to turn a passion into a small business. The product has now been stocked nationwide and online purely because of her social media. Her packaging has also become a new trend because of how slick, she stuck to her colors, she stuck to her theme, stuck to her identity, and she's actually very well known all over. So as you can see, her social media content consists of a color palette. So I can play that again for you quickly. So she's stuck to her colors, she's stuck to her content, exactly what she's doing. There's not an information overload. No, most of them are actually lifestyle images, as you can see. And she's actually taken all these pictures and created this content all by herself. So this isn't, so with her photography and content creation skills, she actually created a lifestyle people want, right? So she's showing you how healthy that she can eat, that she's showing you recipes on how to make that. Now she's created those mixes that she was making and she's now put it into a product for people to buy. Okay, because would you make it yourself or would you want a pre-mix? You'd want a pre-mix, right? Sometimes on a Sunday you don't want to cook pancakes from scratch, right? So yeah, does anyone have any questions on macronexus? So the next SME is enhanced sports. So I started working for enhanced sports when I was in grade 10. So I was a hockey coach, and they are proudly South African, and they focus on video analysis, coaching, and video production. So they started in 2011, and that's when Facebook was in its prime. So by using Facebook, they were able to appeal to parents that wanted the best for their children's sporting careers, and they used to post all their clinics, their upcoming clinics, which instantly appealed to these parents on Facebook. And one of their biggest techniques on how they marketed their company was we would post pictures of the children playing hockey or a nice video, and that gave the parents an option to actually share, which is a marketing tool in itself. So they want to show everyone how well their kid's doing, or they've attended this clinic, and from that, we just grew. Okay? Grew to actually add 2 more companies under the Enhanced Sports umbrella. They now have Enhanced Sports Media and Enhanced Sports Health. So hearing these 2 examples, I can comfortably say that social media does work. As long as you have the right marketing strategy, appeal to the niche, and appeal to your audience, and stay consistent. Does anyone have any questions on that?
The conversation funny, you say the same thing, but in different perspectives. You know, it's the work behind the scenes that you need to put in, and there was no picture of the ES company. You do the clinics. But at the same time, you take the same work and then you put it on the social media, then there's really more detection. Because now they wanted what you were doing.
Yeah.
Without what you did, it's a kind of sky.
Yeah. And exactly, you would want the same with audience. You want to know what platform is your audience on. So now, if these are clinics for kids, you wouldn't want to go post on TikTok because the parents aren't going to be on TikTok. So you would want to base all your social media and all your marketing on Facebook for your target audience.
And I think that's what we're trying to get across today, is the fact that there are, before you jump into marketing, you've got to actually, so location, you know, sports thing, they're not connected to a specific area and it's specific people. These brands are endorsed by parents, so they don't need to make the buying decisions first. The evidence of success is the video that's there. So before you jump into marketing and say, well, I've got to come up with some working social media thing, but put a good plan behind it. Who is actually making that buying decision? Because that's actually core to the rest of your business. And who's actually making that buying decision? How are you getting them to make it? And what are the obstacles? And that's part that you actually have it on the wall for the obstacles. And they've got to actually work through it. What are the goals that they're going to get to? What are the objectives? Before we do anything, they need to address that. And it's such a simple thing. But it does address the questions about marketing. Any other questions?
I'm not a person, I'm not a person, I'm not a person who never had enough of this Facebook, because I've had a lot of people who are asking a lot of questions, but don't buy. So, a lot of my business comes from referrals, people that I'm talking to. So, I was also thinking about doing this store thing, but I was also looking at how everyone is doing, like having a small catalog, and having other people to go and sell my products, door to door, because most of my clients because I concentrate on traditional clothing, like people that are going to traditional weddings and all those traditional ceremonies. So most of my clients are like people like in 20s, 30s, and 40s, and most of them are working. So I'm thinking of making a model like agency, but I wasn't sure whether that's sort of relevant to do something like that.
So I'll flip around. That's no option culture. How many of you are necessarily an option culture? Yes, so option is one that's a passion brand. That's involved doing some marketing. Sorry, yeah. We've got a, well, we've got, yeah, cool. So Loction was a fashion brand. I think it primarily started out as a shoe brand and then became how to call it, a fashion brand that was out there. And they didn't have marketing budget. So eventually what they said, and that's not what Suzanne's question earlier, was actually what we'll do, we'll put our clothes on certain musicians and kind of high profile people in the communities. And they were particularly targeting young, trendy Black South Africans at a time where there weren't brands that actually catered towards that space. And so Loction basically, they were the precursor to what we know now as influencer marketing. They basically said, I can't, like me coming up with a fancy ad campaign and putting in Cosmo magazine or Drum magazine, whatever it was, I don't pay for that. But I've got a product, I need to produce this product. People can see it in what it looks and feels like. And they basically, the entire marketing campaign started just by putting clothes and shoes on influential people who subsequently then posted onto their what you can, social media, and that was their way of marketing. So it became a walking, talking catalog for you. Unfortunately, Aaron did a thread on Twitter yesterday, and one of some of these influencers, they get paid to wear dresses to certain events or whatever. There's debates about it and the effectiveness of it, and how many people are just doing it for freebies. But the right person wearing your fashion brand can be a walking, talking advert for you. They can be a salesperson. So lots of different ways to think about it. Catalogs or catalogs. I think the problem with that space at the moment is a lot of people, everything is bespoke now. Everybody wants to have a bespoke set of shoes, bespoke color palette, whatever it is. I think you do have to balance it out a bit there, see, and that's where the cost of acquiring the client is quite a topical thing that's out there. Does it partially answer your question? Yeah, but if you don't need that, there's very nice case studies. If you go and look up Loction culture, you'll actually find some interesting case studies around how you can do marketing for fashion. Strip the other one, yeah? Any other questions?
There's the client that we recognize now, and typically what you were talking about. But now you typically see people who are very looking. You don't want to be those people. Then they will end up getting get on that get the same experience.
So another one.
Yeah, that's what you think when I say put that door to door, it's like you could put up there saying essential to live the door to door, essential.
And on top of that, one of the fun things that we're working with, one fun thing we're working with at the moment is a project, youth employment project. And one of the problems that young women have is they go to job interviews and they don't their hair, their nails, it's really hard to make a good first impression. And one of the projects basically are set up and the corporates are actually paying for these young women to, they pay the salon to run the salon project, and these women then go and give the young women that are applying for jobs, facial, hair, nails, and bolt onto that, I've seen it done in Joburg as well, clothes to be able to go to interviews, social impact, enterprise development, and a whole lot of different ways to do some fun things in that space. So yeah, the question.
No, it's just to add on what was conversation. There's another lady on Instagram. She is also a designer. Her name is Emma Stewart, and she specifies in wedding dresses, traditional wedding dresses. And she has a huge marketing report for social media number one, and number two. When I heard her story, because I asked her to interview her, she said that she asked to create one of the ministers, I don't know her name, for free. She just said, I'm going to create people free. I just need you to tag me on Instagram, say that I'm the person who did your makeup, who did your hair. She has a whole team. And from that, many women, she has two businesses now. She's opened up 3 stores in Porto, just from that alone. So find someone who is of power and of influence.
So she is it. I'm going to wrap it here.
Yeah.
But Jason and Arthur, chat with you a bit more. So really, the conversation is starting, and that's what the whole thing is. the conversation, getting a conversation,
Learning from each other. Yeah.
getting people talking. Okay, so I'd like to say thanks to Jeff and Mark for being here, for sharing this. I think it's been well done. Jeff, so any questions, as we normally do, just send us an email. Just covered lots of ground here. Lots of ideas and news. Pop your email, I'm more interested in this, can you help me? You post all this online, so we have actually recorded it, we'll post it online, do social media. YouTube, Facebook, Insta, Twitter, LinkedIn, we're there. Thanks to them. So yeah, cool. Guys, thanks a lot. Alright.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Unless you're just picking up my laptop and coming.
And kind of